Hi, I'm Rafael from No Bugs Project, and I'm going to talk to Professor Isidro.
Hi guys.
He's a game specialist. He's a professor in college. He has his own course, and he knows very well how to teach people. And he's a great reference here in Brazil, and he's going to talk. He's going to give us some special tips for avoiding bugs and stress, and you will be able to know all the experience from Isidro. So Isidro, it is a high pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Rafael.
I really appreciate to have you here.
It's an honor for me to be here and try to contribute with a little bit with your audience.
I'm sure you will contribute a lot because you are a reference to me.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know how to explain things in a very clear way. You have the gift. You have the real gift for doing it. You're very good. I really appreciate to have you here.
I think it's our mission as a professor, as a teacher, as an instructor, try to make some things a little bit simpler than the whole universe. And if you try to understand little small tips to make baby steps, you can make huge things.
Yes, for sure. And I'm sure you are really teaching people, and people are learning for real for you because you are amazing.
It makes me happy.
I totally admire your work.
Thank you so.
You're you're a very nice guy.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are very sympathetic, and you are awesome. You are awesome. Yes.
You are awesome.
I admire
awesome
you a lot. So, Isidro, I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
I would like to ask you about what was the biggest bug you have in your life, and what did you do for solving the problem?
I have a bad experience when I was developing a web application. No, I was in the beginning of my career, and I was trying to do the following thing. Two tables, you have customer and address, and when I didn't know transactions, I didn't know anything about databases, and I was trying to insert a record of my customer, from a form, and retrieve the ID of this customer because I was using MySQL database. You insert a new record and try to retrieve the ID generated by the database. And this ID was the foreign key to insert the address related to that customer. Okay, everything was working on my machine.
Always, my machine.
My machine, it works.
My machine works.
Oh my God. And when I tried to make a stress test, I realized that the first customer was inserted on the table, and for some reason, I don't know the schedule of the threads, I inserted a second customer. And when I tried to retrieve the ID, I couldn't retrieve only the second ID. And the second ID was put in the address of my first customer and the second customer.
Whoa.
And when I tried to do this, when I did this, the first customer had no addresses and the second customers had a lot of addresses. Oh. So I think the big problem was how to identify this error.
Whoa.
And I think I spent 3 or 4 days
Whoa.
studying.
A lot of time.
because I was a beginner, and I didn't. It was my first web project, and what can I say? No one is aware from bugs. No
Yes.
one is free from bugs, and that's the main point. You must learn with your bugs.
Yes.
That's the. I think you're not you cannot avoid bugs. You
can't.
You can, for example, you can minimize the chance of bugs because you cannot think about your user behavior or anything else. But you must learn with this. That's the main mistake that developers do. They try to deny learning from their mistakes, or deny learning from user behavior, try to deny learning from different situations. Okay, you're not aware from bugs, but you must learn with this. And it was I think it was the most difficult bug that I tried, because I didn't know what to do and why does it happen. So my head was very confused at that point.
Yes.
So I had to study about transactions, atomic operations, and that's the point, because I was using JDBC, Java and JDBC, and that was the main point. If you have, for example, several tables related to each other, you must have, in that case, transactions to ensure that your data will be correctly inserted.
Yeah. And how did you find out this bug? What did you do for finding out it and correcting it?
I try to track the behavior of the application.
Yes.
Logs, several logs,
nice.
because I remember when I was on the PhD course, writing my project, and I used to write code in C language with distributed code. It was very complicated, and the code was running on several machines, on different machines, and I was realizing how to debug any kind of error in this application during my PhD. And I bought a book from abroad, and there was a singular chapter: how to debug parallel and distributed programs. Okay, one chapter, the printf approach. And it was on my mind, it was get on my head, and anything that I do, I log all of my steps.
Awesome.
At least to know anything that's happening.
Awesome.
So logging is it's a technique that helps me a lot.
Yes, it helps all of us developers. I think it's very important to us to get a log, to put a log. In that way, we can avoid a lot of bugs and discover all of them.
And how to know, how to write important information on your log.
Yes.
Because your log can increase the size tremendously.
Yes, for sure. And we, as Isidro said, we have to know the right place to use the log in order to get the right logs. And instead of confusing us, if we can just put a log in all the places of the system, and it can just confuse us. So it's important to us to know the exact place we have to use the logs, and it will help us a lot for sure.
Your log must tell you what you want to know.
Yes, exactly. So Isidro, now I'm going to ask you a really important question. what golden tip can you give to No Bugs project audience, and what golden tip can you give us to avoid bugs and stress? Because we know it's a huge problem for all of us developers. Yes. We see bugs in all companies we worked. So please tell us what's the most important tip in your career, in your experience. What can we do to avoid it?
I remember once that I read on something, I don't know where I read this kind of joke, this kind of phrase, because how can I get experience? How can I make good choices with experience? How can I get experience with bad choices? How can I... okay, this is a common sense, but translating this to our environment, to developers' environment, how can you make good code with experience? How can you get experience to write code with bad code that you write? So I think that I could improve my developer skills with practice, reading code, studying design patterns, best practice, clean code, in order to improve my solutions, my algorithms, to make them clearer, in order to read them before, after my system gets finished or gets released, get delivered. But you must remember, there's no silver bullet. You have tools. If you have tools, some tools are more applicable on some situations. The same tools could not be applied in different situations. And that's the main point. You must know that the choice or the use of some technique or any kind of tool and kind of API or pattern could solve some kind of problems, but they are not unique. They are not the only tools that you have. And how can you get this kind of skill with errors and learning with your errors? So the best thing is practice. Practice a lot.
Yes. So it is really powerful tip, and I'm sure it will help a lot. Not only No Bugs Project audience, but me too, because I always learn a lot with you, Isidro.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was a high pleasure to have you here, and I forgot to mention that Isidro is also the coordinator of the game subject on TDC, the biggest event on Latin America. So he's really a big, very important guy. So it was a great honor to have you here, Isidro.
That's my honor, Rafa.
And you for sure will help a lot us, all of us. And I highly recommend all of you Java developers to follow Isidro. Because he's awesome. He's awesome. He will teach you a lot of things. He will teach you Java in a way that you never thought. So, Isidro, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rafa. That's a very high honor to have here and try to talk to you, to your audience. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Isidro. It was a great honor to have you here. Thank you. Bye-bye,
guys.